Now, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old or what, but is it just me, or does the original Mean Girls still feel like it came out like 5 years ago? We have a remake now. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Straw Hat Goofy, and I'm here to talk to you about another movie. And today we're going to be talking about Mean Girls, the 2024 remake, based off of the Broadway play that's based off of a movie, which is also based off of a book. All done by Tina Fey. I don't know if she did the book, but you know what I'm saying. Now, obviously, with a lot of remakes like this, a lot of us have trouble comparing it to the original. I know I did when I initially did my TikTok review. And to be honest, when you have something as iconic as a Mean Girls, like this is like a classic, a staple when it comes to teen comedy. Some people think it's the teen comedy at the very least in the 2000s. So it's hard to not compare it. And I had trouble doing that. And I feel like I'm going to have trouble doing that again. So in advance, I apologize if it feels like I'm being biased towards one or the other. It's just how I feel. Now, I remember seeing the first Mean Girls in 2004. That's when I was like 12 years old. So I was just reaching teenhood. So this movie was pretty much like my introduction to what high school was going to be and how dealing with high school girls was going to be. Cause, you know, me being like a kind of nerdy black kid from Compton, going to a high school in Lakewood, California, I was just thinking that there was just going to be girls fighting in the hallways everywhere and fighting for boys. And I was hoping to be one of those boys. That didn't happen. 20 years later, and we're still like talking about Mean Girls. So when this movie came out, obviously there's a little apprehension, but a little bit of that was kind of like mitigated by the fact that it was based off of a Broadway play that was based off of the movie. As long as like, you know, it was able to entertain me in that way, I was going to be fine. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are the performances. There are like 2 to 3 standout performances within this movie. First one, obviously, is Renee Rapp as Regina George, taking over from, I was going to say Mr. McAdams, but I watched a lot of Dave, but Rachel McAdams, who previously played the character. And I feel like Renee Rapp, who also played Regina George in like the second incarnation of the Broadway show, completely crushes it here. She is 100% a siren, which means she has a beautiful voice. She looks gorgeous and she just commands the room whenever she walks in. This is a Regina George that I truly believe that the whole school would just kind of like fall in line whenever she comes into town, right? Regina George, like in the original, like obviously it was like kind of like a more played up teen comedy version, right? Nobody like that is real. And in many ways, like this version of Regina George isn't real. But in the world of a musical, this is where I was like, okay, she's that chick, right? Another standout performance is Ali Carvalho as Janice, previously played by Lizzie Kaplan. And what I really liked about this character and what you can, I don't want to say she was better, but what I do want to say is that Lizzie Kaplan's character is like iconic in her own right. But the way Ali plays her, she adds everything that Lizzie Kaplan did while also having a sense of vulnerability to the character. And a lot of that has to do with her sexual identity. Funny enough, the 2004 movie obviously couldn't do certain things because of the time period, which is weird to say, but they played with Lizzie Kaplan's character, Janice, being like a lesbian, and you know, they kind of like subverted those expectations in a really fun way. But this movie just kind of goes all in on that and it informs her character and it adds like another dimension to it that's really, really great. Add on top of the fact that this character gets to sing, and when you have someone who played the freaking voice of Moana doing this while also having like great facial expressions, great like stage presence, screen presence, then it just all comes together to make a really, really great character. So I really hope a lot of people are talking about how great she is in this movie. Another standout personally for me, and I feel like a lot of us should be talking about this, Avantika is Karen, previously played by Amanda Seyfried. And oh my God, like I feel like those two as this one character is like 1A and 1B, Jordan and LeBron. You can pick which one is your favorite, and I would not be mad at you because the way this girl does big doe eyes, the way she's able to deliver lines and pretty much get the last line in and just take every scene over the top with either that or facial expressions. It's the best. Like there are scenes where like she's not the focal point at all. She's in the background, but your eyes just can't help but look at her because she's either doing something funny in the background while not being distracting, but still in a way being a little bit distracting, like hamming it up, but it's like a musical, so you kind of get that. Like she just has like the whole package. I was really happy to find out that she got a song in the movie, and the song is actually really entertaining, really fun. As for all the other characters, they do fine. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of them just fill in their roles versus like make those roles stand out. Like I can't even tell you who the actress who played Gretchen Wieners was. She kind of fades into the background. Damien sadly fades into the background as well because he's a little predictable when it comes to being the gay best friend, or in this case, the magical gay best friend. The songs are amazing. One of my favorite songs is Revenge Party. I feel like the choreography, I feel like the song, the vocals, everything about that song is great. It is kind of used to kind of move the plot forward like really, really fast. And what I call kind of like Broadway to movie pacing, and how some of those pacing issues just kind of like rush everything. Same thing happened with The Color Purple. But I just really liked the what's holding this movie together and what separates those movies together. That's what I think separates those movies, is the performances and the songs that come with that. As far as like going to see a Mean Girls movie, right? Obviously, this is way different than what we remember. And this is not your normal Mean Girls, right? This one is one that is beat for beat, bar for bar, the Mean Girls that you know, but they're singing this time. So when it comes to those other moments that where they're not singing, it just feels like a less punchier, less bitey version of what we already know. It's like, if we've already gotten this great thing, why are we doing this over here? Like, they say these iconic lines, but you already seen the most iconic version of that line. And like, one, if they do say it right, okay, you got two iconic versions of the line, but why do you need that? And then two, if it doesn't feel the same, then it just kind of like, becomes lesser. And I feel like the movie kept kind of like, you can feel when a movie is kind of like telling you to look, we're gonna do this thing, or hey, look at this thing. And I feel like the movie did that a lot with the lines like, you can't sit with us, or she doesn't even go here. And you could tell the movie is just kind of telling you to look at this. And when the movie does that and then it doesn't really hit the same as the original, you're just like, okay. It's just those moments that kind of like drag the movie down for me, where it's like, why am I watching this when I could have just watched the original? And they're not doing a bad job at all. None of the actors are doing a bad job. I don't think the writing is bad. I just feel like, it just doesn't have that much teeth to it. At the end of the day, this movie is a nice to have in the Mean Girls universe. And to be honest, it makes me not want another Mean Girls reinterpretation like the movie, like the Broadway movie thing. But it makes me want like a continuation of it. Like, what happens when these girls go to college? What happens when new girls come into the school? What do those stories look like, right? Not Mean Girls 2, like, ugh, not Mean Girls 2, but just kind of like another story within the Mean Girls universe. What happens when we go to a different location, right? So it just makes me want more of that, more than just kind of like wanting the same old characters, same old things happening. I think this one helps that it has songs. So we put those characters in those moments. But at the end of the day, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a 3 out of 5 straw hats. I think it is a fun movie. I think if you put two of them in front of me, I will more prefer to watch the original than this one, and I'll probably listen to the soundtrack more than I actually watch this one. Not to say that I won't watch this one. I probably will, especially with a group of friends. It will be a lot of fun to sing along and like watch the movie in that way. But it just, I got my Mean Girls, and I feel like now that I have two, it's a nice to have just in case. As always, guys, thank you so much for making me your movie guide. Thank you for watching. And please, if you guys like this video, if you're new here, please hit the bell to get notified of my other videos. Subscribe, like it, leave a comment, help me be visible to the algorithm. You probably see me on TikTok. I want to do more long form content like this, so that would be really great. And you guys, thank you so much for joining the crew. And I will see you next time when we talk about the next movie.